Live. All right, the gang is all here. Happy May 20th for all those out there in Parker Radio Land. Good evening. My name is Dan, and 2SRK Club President. Welcome to the May edition of the PRA monthly meeting. Got a great lineup of not only guests and people here, but we have a really, really excellent presentation lined up by Paul, AC5S, on Field Day 2020. So got a lot of business to cover tonight, but before we get into business, we got to go through the most important thing, which are introductions. So first and foremost, we will kick it over to Patrick, AIHC, our Vice President. Patrick, good evening. Over to you.
Thanks, Dan. I was even ready to push the unmute button this time. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this month's meeting. Glad everybody's here and hope everyone is doing well. I don't really have a whole lot. My shack's still a disaster area, and I still have a job. So there you go. And my health is good, so I'm doing okay. And I will hand it back over to our gracious leader, Dan. Go ahead.
Well, thanks, Patrick. Much appreciated. And you definitely hit the high points. Employed, good health, roof over your head. That's what matters. Next, we'll bring it over to our most wonderful secretary, Elizabeth, N1 RDH. Elizabeth, good evening. Over to you.
Good evening, everybody. It's good to see everybody, and welcome to our monthly May meeting. I hope you all have a wonderful time congregating. I want you to get in the chat feature and ask us any questions, and Paul will be finishing it up with a great presentation on Field Day. Back over to you guys.
All right. Thanks, Elizabeth. Much appreciated. And the man that keeps me out of trouble, Justin, AE2L, our treasurer. Justin, good evening. We'll throw it over to you.
Hey, thanks, Dan. And that's a fantastic looking microphone you got there. Sounds great.
Thanks.
Keeping the squelch loose there. Yeah, good evening, everybody. AE2L, Justin in Castle Rock here, club treasurer, and welcome to the YouTube event. And almost looks like we know what we're doing at this point. So welcome this evening. Good to have y'all here.
Thanks, Justin. Good to have you here. And thanks for keeping me out of trouble for another month and not spending all the money. Next, we have our Chief Technology Officer, Ray, N0KEG. Ray, good evening. We'll throw it over to you.
Hey, everybody. Good evening. I am also still healthy and still employed, so very thankful for that. Thankful everybody could come out and watch us tonight and get us some likes on YouTube and all that good stuff. And it's my favorite presentation of the year because Field Day is better than Christmas. So I'm looking forward to the presentation tonight.
Good deal. Thanks, Ray. Appreciate you being here. One of our directors at large from the N0AD production room or production studio in Aurora, Colorado is Wayne, N0AD. Wayne, good evening. Over to you.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. See if I can get myself up on the screen here. All right, there we go. Yeah, welcome to another, what is this, another Monday or May meeting. For the Parker Radio Association. Thanks for everybody hopping on YouTube Live. If you have any questions or anything, post them in the chat. And look forward to the Field Day presentation. Back to you, Dan.
All right, Wayne. Thanks again. Appreciate you being here tonight. And thanks for all your help behind the scenes in the studio and piping us through on YouTube. It's a really cool thing that we have going. And obviously, we're getting a lot of really great feedback on it. So last but certainly not least, one of our other directors at large, John, N4SJW. There he is. John, good evening. We'll throw it over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Well, I'm bandwidth challenged up here on the hill like Paul. I guess the electrons have a real struggle getting up the grade here, but I'm kind of a low bandwidth kind of guy anyway on FT8. But just want to welcome everyone here tonight. I am salivating about that dinner we're going to have up in Colorado Campground here. It was awesome last year, and I think it's going to be equally, if not more awesome. So keep your seatbelts on and look forward to Paul's presentation. I'm going to turn my video off here.
All right, John, thanks for joining us. Yeah, that's definitely one of the highlights is not only the plethora of HF contacts that we make, but obviously a well prepared and usually very filling meal it's usually hard to get people to operate after dinner on Saturday night because everybody's usually Thanksgiving dinner full and ready for a nap. So good deal there. So yeah, obviously we're talking field day, and Paul AC5S is in the room as well. And I want to certainly recognize Paul and say, Paul, good evening. We're really looking forward to your presentation tonight. We have you on standby. So again, just wanted to welcome you, and any comments you want to give us as we kick some things off tonight.
No comments. It's good to be here. It's exciting that we're just a few weeks away from Field Day, and so hopefully we'll get some of that good information out to everybody tonight, and hopefully everybody will get that on their schedule, and we're going to have a great Field Day 2020. Back to you, Dan.
All right, Paul. Thanks again. And boy, if you've ever had an experience of any of Paul's field day presentations, you're really in for a treat tonight. So, Paul, we're certainly looking forward to that. Certainly want to recognize our new members that have joined us here in the last month. The PRA has actually eclipsed, I think, 153 or 154 members as of today, which is pretty remarkable. We've had some really great growth over the last couple years, and getting to the 50 mark was big. Getting to 100 was a lot. Now eclipsing the 150 mark, hopefully we've been doing something right the last 6 years. So again, want to welcome the new members, and for those new members that are on tonight, be sure to use the chat box on YouTube Live. Let us know you're here so we can give you a warm welcome. And at any time during our meeting tonight, we will be monitoring the chat box. So if you have a question or a comment you'd like to make, please use that chat box. We want to make sure that those get addressed, they get seen, and bless you, Elizabeth. And we'll be sure to make sure that we get you the information that's necessary. Next, we have Justin, AE2L, with a treasurer's report. Justin, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Let me see if I can break the internet here and share my screen and bring the report up so everyone can see it. Perfect. Let's break the internet here. All right. So Treasury report. Dan, I take it you can see that?
I can.
If you can enlarge it.
So Treasury report for this month, checking account balance, 5,878.42. We did get an update recently about the next King Supers program check that's coming in for this first quarter of this year, with 48 households participating. That'll add, we have not yet received that, but that'll add $673.22 to the coffers. And as of earlier this week, it was 152 active members, 15 guests with 20 expired. Pretty cool little visualization here is where we are as the PRA for members that have joined in CQ Honolulu or Kilo. Either way, we're in Hawaii, so that's pretty cool. Los Angeles, Vegas. Pretty cool to see the diverse population of the PRA spanning many states, far beyond the boundaries of just Parker, Colorado. So pretty cool to see that growth. Thanks, Jeff, for putting that together. And on finances, if anybody has any questions, this copy of this should have gone out in the email blast, but feel free to email me, ae2l@parkerradio.org, or you can reach out to Dan with any questions. There are no secrets. There's just money that we have for funding the club activities. So anyone have any questions, at least for those of you that can ask me questions? If not, I'll throw it back to the net there. Or the net.
Yeah, I'll be acting net control tonight, no problem. Well, thanks, Justin. Great report as always. And you can hear my attack burn doodle upstairs just protecting the house right now. So she probably saw something blow by with all the wind we've been having and is anxiously guarding the front door. Hopefully maybe it's my daughter's boyfriend that she's barking at, which would be even better. So again, thanks, Justin, for that report. And again, if any questions that people may have, use the chat room. Even if we're past the subject, we'll be happy to revisit anything that's been asked in the chat room on anything that we have going on here tonight. Next is the status of HamCon Colorado 2020. Email blast went out late yesterday, and long story short, HamCon Colorado 2020 is being postponed until 2021. Right now, for those that have signed up, the chairman of the committee and the leads of the HamCon Colorado 2020 committee are in negotiations right now with the venue on refunds, and as soon as that's received, if you paid registration fees, they are going to be sent back to you. So keep an eye out for that, and as information is gained on that, that'll be passed out as well. So if you've already signed up, you should have received an email last night from the committee chair for HamCon Colorado 2020. That went out, so as more information is gained, we'll certainly get that updated and sent out to the membership email blast, and we'll also update the Facebook page and Twitter and website as well. So as of right now, HamCon 2020 is postponed until 2021. And again, dates and venue will be announced as soon as those are confirmed. So if you had signed up for that, keep an eye out for your email for any refunds. So obviously, with everything going on with the COVID-19 situation, certainly the right thing to do. As a member of the committee, along with Patrick, AIHC, yes, there was a late notice of the postponement, but we wanted to make sure that everything was lined up as far as the venue, people, registrants, most importantly, the guests, the vendors, and this was just the right decision to make at this time. So again, want to kind of give kudos out to the committee chairman, John Maxwell, W0VG, who's been orchestrating all of this behind the scenes and has had to wear multiple hats through this process. So that's where we stand on HamCon Colorado 2020, postponed 1 year. Next, we're going to dive into some of the current topics and committee reports. And the first one we have up is Doug, KE0DC, with the VE Testing Committee update. Doug, good evening. You got a lot of great things to share tonight.
Yes, I do. Good evening, everybody. Today, Patriot VE was updating a lot of stuff. We added more sessions on May 30th and June 20th. So go to the Patriot VE ham study. There's a link in the forums under licensing and upgrading. But we've got 7 sessions on the 23rd in Elizabeth, 2 sessions up here in Denver at the Masonic Temple on Broadway. And then we got a new one today, 4 sessions on June 20th up in Federal Heights. So I posted it on the Facebook and the club page. And if you need directions, just Google it. And also on June 27th, we have a session set up for people wanting to upgrade to extra only, since the question pool will be changing on July 1st, I believe. I'm getting feedback somewhere. So, okay. Any questions or comments? Feel free to ask. I can't find the right tab. There it is. I don't see any comments for me, so K0DC, back to net.
All right, Doug, thanks again. Much appreciated. And certainly the Patriot VE team has been pretty darn busy as of late. And obviously with those sessions going on, adding the sessions, the online sign up, I think is something that's pretty unique. Way to go there with that. And obviously the expertise of people like Doug, KE0DC, Nick Meacher, who's the VEC for it, just doing a great job with the Patriot VE team, and kudos to you guys for all that you're doing through all of this. So again, great job, and thanks again, Doug, much appreciated. Next on the list, we actually have Brian, K0FBS, but Brian is not online right now, so we'll circle back to see if he'll be able to join us here maybe in a little bit. Paul, AC5S, repeater committee and Elmer committee update. We'll throw it over to you.
Hey, thanks, Dan. Well, let's talk about the repeater committee first. We have 13 members on the committee, and we have actually been meeting about every 2 weeks because we have 2 new sites that we're working on, a Squaw Mountain site, and then a more local to Parker site that we call the Hollywood Hills site. There's a story behind that. I'm not going to get into it tonight. But anyway, the Squaw site is on hold right now till we get a few additional clarifications and a little additional information on that site. But we do fully intend to have the Squaw site available to us sometime over the next 60 days. The Hollywood Hills site, however, we are in full speed ahead with the idea that we're going to locate the PRA Yazoo fusion repeater on that 100-foot tower. Now that tower is just to the east of Lincoln and Pine Streets. If you can imagine, kind of visualize that intersection, Lincoln and Pine, we're about a half a mile, maybe 3/4 of a mile straight east of that intersection, 100-foot commercial tower. And there's several challenges there. We need AC power, we need network connectivity, antennas, feed line, outdoor enclosure, a computer to run the wires X, and several other things as well. But the committee is all jumped in head first. We have a site owner that is very, very interested in being involved in the deployment process. He's going to trench for us and put the cable in the ground for the AC power. He's even going to climb the tower, install the antennas, and install the hard line. So when it's all said and done, we should have the fusion repeater deployed on that site. But that's not all. We also are talking with one of our club members about deploying a 220 megahertz repeater on that site as well. And the fusion repeater is going to be set up as dual band with VHF used for programming, and UHF will be the primary output frequency for that repeater. So I don't have time to list all 13 members of the committee, but I will tell you that there's probably 5 people on the committee that are just so focused on fusion and wires X, and they've just really taken the lead on this particular installation, and it's all going to come together. Now, I know you're asking, when will we have the repeater on the air at the Hollywood Hills site? Well, I can't tell you for sure because we're still putting everything together. We're going to be getting a proposal to the board sometime next week for some funding, and we're certainly hoping to have the repeater up by the end of June, certainly by the end of July. Don't hold us to that. You heard me describe all the obstacles that we have to, all the things that have to be done, but I believe we can make that happen. So by the fall, I fully expect us to have a fully linked wires X fusion repeater at the Hollywood Hills site. So now let me just jump over really quickly to the Elmer committee. I want to thank Terry WB3EVZ for helping me with that committee, and we kind of co-chair that, and we have a couple other members as well, and we're kind of operating in the background, so to speak. We've actually gone out and helped 2 or 3 people with antenna installations, tuning some verticals, and a few other things as well. And if you need any help with that, if you need any help setting up a station, setting up a grounding system for your home QTH, if you need any help installing a mobile radio, or you need us to help tune a vertical HF radio or whatever the case is, please give us a ring, so to speak. Give us an email via parkerradio.org. That's parkerradio.org. Leave us an email, and Terry and I, one of us, will get back to you, and we'll get that scheduled. We're also talking about what's going to happen over the next couple of months. Hopefully we'll be back face to face, but if not, we'll still have something going on for Elmer Night as well. So your Elmer committee is here, ready to help. If anyone has any questions or any needs, please definitely let us know. That's it. I'll throw it back over to Net Control, Dan, 73.
Yeah, you're muted, Dan.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, it would help to take myself off of mute. I'm trying to be a good participant here. Well, Paul, thanks for the update as always, and certainly the repeater committee and the Elmer committee are just doing some great work. In particular, the repeater committee, the amount of engagement, the number of participants, boy, the number of people that are just launching their expertise and ideas and suggestions at the entire project has been nothing short of remarkable. So, Paul, thank you for your leadership on that committee. And boy, it's pretty darn exciting here that in another 30, 60 days or so, we will have hopefully have a fusion repeater up and going. So again, great work there. Great work to the entire committee, and can't thank all you guys and gals enough for all your help there. Let's see here. Next was the website committee. Jeff, I don't believe he's on quite yet, so we may have to circle back around with Jeff. Tom, NI0L, and the PRA gear committee. Tom, we got a couple new things now that are in inventory. We'll let you give us an update there.
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I got a haircut today. It took 3 days of trying, so I'm pretty happy about that. It's like winning the lottery. So never thought it was going to be harder to get a haircut than to buy marijuana, but that's where we are. So a couple updates. We had 5 shirts that we got back from the embroiderer, and got those out. And so you should be seeing those in the next couple days. We ended up just mailing them out. We usually bring them to a meeting, but we just mailed them because not sure when that's really going to happen. So there's 5 of them out there. So we've got quite a few orders of sweatshirts, but please go to the Parker website, the Parker Radio Association website, and get a sweatshirt ordered if you want one. We have to have a minimum order of 36 before they'll really deal with us. So we'd love to get really close. Just an idea that I'm hoping that we have close enough to get that thing done. So we have those sweatshirts at Field Day. That'd be great. So that's basically it for the apparel stuff. The next thing is I wanted to show, if I could present real quick, the sign up for Field Day. So let me see, actually, let me see if I can get this guy to work. A window, and I don't know if I can get it to come up. Anyway, let me just look at it real quick, and I can go through it with you. It's pretty much, when you open it up, you'll see a hot dog that says party on it. So I looked for some sort of a theme for Field Day, and I couldn't find it. My optimal idea of finding one was maybe what looked like a whole bunch of random coax just laid on the ground with half-empty beer cups. But they didn't have one of those available. So we went with this hot dog party theme here. Pretty much everything's the same. It kind of talks about what's going to happen, the signups, if you're coming to dinner, if you're going to stay with us, so we know how many people we'll have in the different campsites. And then all the stuff that you're going to bring. All that stuff is pretty much what we just call the starter list. So if somebody's already signed up to bring an antenna, please bring more of them. We're always worried about coax, about barrel connectors, batteries, things like that. And then what's new is basically the bottom 4 sign-up things. And those are duties. One is what we call the battery station, where you keep gas in the generator running, rotate batteries so that we have good fresh batteries at each of the stations. The other next 2 are basically KP duty, which is kitchen patrol, helping set up, 2 people there, and 2 people to help clean up afterwards. So Paul will go into much more detail about how the dinner's going to work this year. It's going to be different than you saw before. And then the last one is 2 different stations. We have 2 different leaders that are going to basically lead getting things set up, tables, chairs, get all the coax run there, get the pop-up shelters and all that. So please watch for that. Get a chance to check it out. It'll go out probably in mail in the next day or 2. And that's just basically it. So NI0L, and I'm done. Back to you, Dan.
All right, Tom. Well, great update for sure. And yeah, get your sweatshirt orders in. Tom, how many sweatshirt orders do we have right now?
So Jeff will have a better number, but the last I knew was about 5 or 6. So we're
okay,
fill that in. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah,
We get close to the club can buy the rest of them, but it's 36 before they'll run the first run for us.
All right. So 30 more sweatshirt hoodie orders through your donation on parkerradio.org, and we'll be getting those distributed. Considering what happened in Field Day 2019 with we had all 4 seasons in one weekend, which was pretty cool. So those hoodies will probably come in pretty handy this year. Hopefully we won't have any snowflakes flying like we did last year. Well, Tom, thanks again for your update. Next on the list, we have Justin, AE2L, with the HF Loaner update. Justin, over to you.
Yeah, so the club has 2 fantastic shacks in a box available for your use. As a member of the club, it's a benefit you get to take advantage of should you want to. And I encourage anyone that's wanting to try out either a ICOM 7300 or a Yaesu 991 Alpha. We've got those available. They've got nice cases, come with headsets, power supplies, antenna. If you think you need it to run a shack, it's probably included. So if you are interested in that, just go to the Contact Us form on the website, and we can get you all hooked up. There's a small agreement that basically says, you return it in the same working condition you got it. Those are available right now. We do ask that all radios are returned a week before we need them, before the week before Field Day. So we have a couple of weeks window if you still want to grab one of those and play with one for a couple of weeks. Maybe you just want to, So
there he's back. We thought we lost you there for a minute.
Where'd you lose me, Dan?
You were kind of hung up like this.
Yeah, no, we heard most of it there, Justin. Looks like he's froze again.
I think it's all the wind that's blowing the, all the internets all around. Justin, you're back.
Yeah, apparently. I'll throw it back to you. You can fill in whatever you didn't hear. So.
Yeah. So as far as the HF loaners are concerned, it's one of the benefits in being a PRA member is that you get to play with some pretty cool equipment, and maybe you're in the market and want to check out what a SDR HF radio is like the 7300, or maybe you want the shack in a box, 160 meter all the way to 440. That 991A will do you well. And what's cool is that you not only get the rig, but you get the accessories with it. You get an antenna, you get headsets, power supply. I mean, you're pretty much ready to go and get yourself on the air. So make sure you sign those out. And if you do sign them out before Field Day, we obviously need them back before Field Day. So we're going to come hunt you down, a week before Field Day to get those back and prepared and firmware updated and all that good stuff before Field Day 2020. So we're pretty optimistic that Field Day is going to happen this year, obviously. So fingers crossed, we're proceeding full steam ahead with some of those plans. And again, the HF loaners, even after Field Day, great way to sign those up. We've had a lot of members who have recently upgraded, maybe from technician to general or general to extra, and maybe have not had the experience of getting on HF, and maybe their only experience has been through Field Day. Get that loaner equipment checked out. Let's put it to use. That's what it's there for. It doesn't serve any purpose sitting on a shelf or sitting in a box collecting dust. We want hours and we want use on that equipment. So be sure to check that out for sure. Justin, we'll kick it back over to you for any updates on King Soopers or Amazon Smile.
Hopefully we can maintain a decent connection here for that portion. But the short version is thank you for those of you, 48 households at least, who have participated in the King Soopers program. What that is the Kroger Corporation has a program where anyone who has signed up with their community rewards program by going to the website, going to the My Account, signing up with Parker Radio Association, they set aside a little bit of money, and we get a percentage of that based on you swiping your King Soopers card or punching in your rewards number. And those checks have been fantastic, averaging from $600 to $700 and something dollars. So it's all money that can go to fund very important repeater committee projects, ham radio field day, ham radio equipment loaners. All those things are very made possible through the extra money we're getting from Kroger Corporation. We also love Amazon, and we love smile.amazon even more. What that is a same kind of a deal with Amazon, where you go to smile.amazon.com, same thing, just a different URL, and you can pick a charity. We're getting about 40 or something dollars a quarter from them. So not quite as much, but every little bit that we didn't have to bring in some other way is still great for supporting the club and funds the mission of the club, and helps us keep the squelch loose. With that, Dan, I'll throw it back to Ned.
All right, Justin, thanks again. Again, great updates and great causes as well. So again, King Soopers, Kroger Corporation, and smile.amazon.com is a way for us to receive some funding back from some of these larger organizations. And like Justin said, it helps us to fund additional asset buys of loaner equipment, funds the committees. It helps take care of a lot of our events as well. And again, we're big in giving back into the community as well. So every little bit helps. So if you haven't signed up for either one of those, or you'd like more information on either one of them, please reach out to Justin or myself with that. So without further ado, I mean, that was pretty darn quick, just about 30 minutes to get through the business side of our monthly meeting. Usually that goes for about an hour, so it's good to keep these types of things pretty pithy. And without further ado, we're going to actually kick it over to Paul, AC5S, for part one. So this is part one of two. So you got to not only join us this month, but you got to join us next month for part two of Field Day 2020. Paul, we'll throw it over to you.
Hey,
Well,
real
Dan,
quick, you want me to talk about Lone Tree?
Yes, I
Oh
meant
yeah,
to.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Ray, go ahead and bring up Lone
absolutely.
Tree. I'm sorry
Go
about
ahead.
that. Paul, stand by. You can't go anywhere yet.
I'm
Yeah,
the one
this-
that
this
missed,
is a
I'm the
real-
one that missed him on that. So
Yeah,
Go ahead.
all good, man. This is a real quick 60-second or less update. Due to circumstances beyond our control, the Lone Tree repeater is in the trunk of my car. I just picked it up a couple hours ago. It's a Pi-Star-based machine, so if you know, the Pi-Star 4 update requires reimaging the SD card. In addition to that, the big reason is that there's an interference issue on the frequency it was on. I won't get into the details of that, but I'm going to retune the transmit receiver, retune the duplexer, upgrade to the latest and greatest Pi-Star, and I'm going to do some networking improvements to it as well. Basically a back channel VPN service to protect the management of the device. And so I hope to have that deployed back to the site the next 2 weeks. I just got to get some time to bring it down here into the shop and hook it up to the scope and all that good stuff, and get it retuned. So if you're looking for the Lone Tree DMR machine, it's not there. It's me, not you. So don't worry about it. So back to you, Net Control.
All right, thanks, Ray. Appreciate the update for sure. And no, those types of things do happen, but at the same time too, we acted judiciously, we acted quickly, took action, and that's always a good part of it. And yeah, those Pi-Star upgrades are pretty important. Not only for what that new version of Pi-Star is doing, but obviously the process we got to go through, or you got to go through, as far as re-imaging and getting that back up and going. So I think we're ready. I think we're going to finally kick it over to Paul, AC5S, for part one of Field Day 2020. Paul, we'll throw it over to you.
Hey, thanks a lot, Dan, and welcome to the presentation tonight on Field Day. Let's make sure we've got this thing. Is everyone able to see that?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, well, we're going to have just an overview of Field Day tonight. The reason we have this in two parts is because, quite honestly, I think there's just so much information that we have to go through. And I think you'll probably like part two better than part one tonight, actually, because I always do. But we have a lot of stuff here we need to go through. So we'll get started here. First of all, if you look on the ARRL webpage, you'll notice that Field Day is listed as the 27th and 28th of June. And here we've got it listed as the 26th, 27th, and 28th, the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday that weekend. And we'll talk about that here in just a minute. But for the PRA, the official Field Day start is going to be Friday this year between noon and 6 p.m. And we'll talk about that as we go through this. Okay, what is Field Day? Well, it is it's radio's ham radio's open house basically. Every June, more than 40,000 hams throughout North America, and I think the number is a little higher than that, or it was a little higher than that last year anyway. Set up temporary transmitting stations in public spaces to demonstrate ham radio's science, skill, and service to our community and our nation. Field Day combines public service, emergency preparedness, community outreach, and technical skills in a single event. And it really does. That's a great way to sum it up. Field Day has been an annual event since 1933. And it was even during the Second World War, when amateurs were not allowed to transmit, there was still a field day of those 3 or 4 years in there. So it is definitely the most popular event in ham radio. But I would also say for Parker Radio Association, this is definitely our hallmark event. We have been doing field day together as a club since 2014, and wow, what good times we've had since we began in that field across the street from Southeast Christian Church. And everybody that goes back that far remembers that field, at least for a couple years anyway. Okay, so our objectives this year and every year, I think, to some degree. Number one, we have to stay safe. We need to have fun and keep the squelch loose. Eat good food. Meet old friends and new friends. And work as many stations as possible on 160 meters, 80 meters, 40 meters, 20 meters, 15, and 10 meters. We can also work stations on all bands above 50 megahertz. And we learn to operate in abnormal situations with less than optimal conditions. And if you were with us last year, that last part of that optimal conditions, less than optimal conditions, is really something that we really struggled with last year, right? We had rain, snow, cold. Some people froze to death, almost froze to death at night. It was really a tough environmental type of operating conditions that we dealt with. But we made it through, scored well, and we had a great time as well, and we always kept the squelch loose. Okay, the other objective is to design, build, and install and operate different types of antennas and radios. Learn to log contacts in a dynamic and noisy environment. And next month, Dan is going to be teaching us how to log contacts with the software that we use, N1MM. And his presentation is excellent. There's some role playing involved and something to look forward to for next month. It also, one of our objectives for those of you that don't do a lot of contesting is to help build your listening skills, because that's very, very important in this type of event, and learn how to work many different stations in a very short period of time. And, there's some bragging rights there. If you're on the radio for an hour, how many stations can you work in that hour? Now, you won't be able to maybe do quite as well as some of the pros. I certainly can't. I don't even come close, but we still try to get some bragging rights there anyway. Okay, dates and times. Well, we have a couple bonus events this year. If you want to come up on Thursday, and I know I said field day for the PRA is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which it is, but if you want to come up on Thursday, we are going to have an event Thursday afternoon. It's going to be a portable radio deployment event. We're going to leave camp about between noon and 1 o'clock on Thursday, hike over to Manitou Lake and set up our stations there. QRP or whatever you want, any type of portable operation is acceptable. So that's going to be Thursday around 1 p.m. Now, Friday, we're also going to do a portable deployment hike, leaving camp at 9 a.m., which means if you want to go on that one, you either have to spend the night Thursday night, or you need to get up and meet us early on Friday. But in any case, those are the bonus events for this year. Camping Thursday night, a portable radio deployment with a hike on Thursday and a portable radio deployment with a hike on Friday. Our setup time for this particular Field Day 2020, is going to be Friday, June the 26th, between noon and midnight. So starting sometime in the afternoon, we're going to start setting up stations. We're going to start installing antennas. We're going to get grounding systems installed. We're going to get our computers set up and ready to go. And we are going to have a really nice afternoon and evening doing that type of setup. Now, the Pledge of Allegiance and safety briefing will be at 8 a.m. Saturday morning. And I want to thank Tom. Excuse me just a second here. There we go. Had to put the dog out. I want to thank Tom, NI0L, for helping us out with the, he's a safety coordinator this year, and he's going to be doing the briefing at 8 a.m. on Saturday. And that's important. If you're here early on Saturday, it's an important briefing. It kind of gives you the do's and don'ts and how we're going to be safe throughout the whole weekend. Okay, we need to have all of our radios, antennas, power systems, logging computers, network, and operating positions ready to go at 11:30 a.m. So when the contest starts at noon, we'll be ready to go, hit the airwaves, and start making as many QSOs as possible. And this is K0 PRA calling CQ Field Day. And I believe that starts at noon on Saturday. We were going to double check that, but I believe that is the correct time. If not, we will update that next month. Okay, Sunday morning. Sunday morning, we're going to keep working QSOs. While people are working QSOs, other people are going to be breaking down the camp and getting breakfast and getting everybody ready to be out of the site by noon. The official time for us to be completely off of the individual camping sites, out of the camping sites, is noon on Sunday. So we're going to shoot for sometime between 11 and 12. Our last QSO will probably be around 11 o'clock, maybe a little bit after that if we're running hot, making a lot of Qs per hour. We may go ahead and keep working right up until the last vehicle pulls out, maybe on a portable antenna. But we need to be out of there by noon on Sunday. And we need to make sure the campsite is as clean or cleaner than we left it, and then we'll be off and ready for Field Day 2021. Okay, we're all dealing with COVID-19 issues and precautions, and we've all been down this road. So just a couple things here I want to mention to you. The club is recommending that we do practice social distancing. Whatever that means to you, or the person that you're talking to, or the group of people that you're involved with in a conversation. But to the best of our ability, we want to practice social distancing. The PRA was donated 4 gallons of an industrial strength sanitizer. And this is not really for your hands. It's more for wiping down equipment and utensils and things of that nature. So we will wipe down all of the radio equipment and tuners and mics and everything like that between operators. So once one operator leaves the radio, we will have a crew that will come in, wipe everything down, and headsets, tables, mics, radios, that type of thing, so that the next person that comes on the on station, ready to make cues, we'll have everything nice and sanitized, and they'll be ready to go. Masks are optional, but if you are personally uncomfortable without wearing one, then please feel free to do so. Okay, there's not a requirement that you wear a mask at any point in time during Field Day, but again, if you feel uncomfortable, feel free to wear one. Okay. And then last, and I think most important, this goes without saying, but I was asked to put it in here anyway, and I think it's a good thing to review. If you or anyone in your household has been sick or running a fever within the last 14 days, okay, we would prefer that you not show up. If you have been in contact with anyone who has tested positive for COVID-19 within the last 14 days, we would ask that you not show up for Field Day this year. And if you're just generally not feeling well, we don't want to bring stomach bugs or other types of things like that onto the field day site. So just use your common sense there, and we would appreciate you following those guidelines. Okay, food. Well, we're going to do something a little different this year. I want to first thank everybody that has participated in the potluck meal on Saturday night since 2014. But we're not going to do potluck this year. The PRA is going to provide all of the food. And by doing so, we're going to be able to assign food preparation and serving to a group of people that are going to go through some training ahead of time to make sure that they are familiar with all the sanitation procedures that are necessary for cooking and serving the food. So you will simply need to get in line, pick up a plate and your utensils, and somebody will serve you dinner. And you don't need to bring anything. Again, the PRA will be providing the meat and everything else that goes along with the meal, and it's going to be fantastic. And so I can now tell you something that everyone's been asking. What's the meat dish going to be for those of you that eat meat? And Brent and his wife are going to be doing pork shoulders again. And if you're not a meat eater, we'll have plenty of food for you as well. So the dinner Saturday night is going to be fantastic, and everyone should be looking forward to it. I certainly am. The pork shoulder last year was as good as anything I've ever had. So big thanks ahead of time to Brent and his wife for doing the cooking with regard to the meat anyway this year. Now, for all other meals, if you're camping or you're coming up for the day, you're on your own for that. So, bring up your tenderloin steaks or your chicken or whatever you want, and you can do your own cooking for all your other meals. The bottled water that was provided last year will be provided again by the PRA, so you don't have to worry about bringing water up. We'll have plenty of water. I think last year we ended up with 3 or 4 cases left over, maybe more than that. Now,
I still have some.
Yes, we still have it from last year. And then lastly, on the food, there are bears in this area. I lived up there, and there were at least 1 or 2 bears in my garage from time to time. So I can tell you firsthand that there are bears there. So for your own personal food storage, please take that in consideration. And if you do leave food out overnight, you can be cited by members of the Sheriff's Department and or U.S. Forest Service. So bring the proper containers, keep the food in the car if you can, and don't leave food out so we don't have any issues with that. Camping, well, that's why a lot of us are going up. And we have plenty of tent camping sites available. We've already reserved a bunch of sites. I think we have 6 or 7 sites, camping sites reserved. If you are tent camping, you do not need to really do anything. We'd like for you to let us know that you're coming and that you're going to tent camp and that you need a place to camp, that type of thing. But that's mainly just so we know how many people to expect in those sites, and we can kind of point you in the right direction when you get there for your tent setup. But we have plenty of room if you're sleeping in a tent. You don't have to worry about reserving a site yourself. Just come up. We have plenty of room. Now, usually, most of the campsites in Colorado Campground are reserved for this weekend. At least those that are reservable are already reserved due to the fact that the campground did not open as planned this weekend and will not open until June the 1st. There may be some sites still available. If you want to reserve a site to camp with a trailer or a tent or whatever, you can always go to recreation.gov if you want to secure your own site. But also note that about 30 sites in the campground are first come, first serve. Now, there's kind of good news, bad news to that. They are first come, first serve, but this is a very, very popular campground. So usually all the first come, first serve sites are filled by Friday evening around 6 p.m. especially if it's going to be a nice weekend weather-wise. So you can come up Thursday or Friday without a campsite reservation, and probably get a camping site if you're bringing up a camping trailer or whatever the case might be, or if you just want your own tent site. So keep that in mind, but get there on Friday as early as you can. There probably will not be any first come, first serve sites on Saturday. Okay. Also note that the quiet time for the camp is 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. This is enforced. At 6:01 a.m. you can start your generator or do whatever you want. And we plan for this because we can't run generators to charge the batteries after 10 p.m. So we have to have enough power to run the radios for at 100 watts full power all night long. And we have several members that have indicated they're going to stay up all night and pick up cues. So the more cues, the more QSOs, the better, of course. And so that's great. If you want to work overnight, we'll have a sign-up sheet for that as well. And Tom's already talked to you a little bit about the survey that's going out. And if you would fill that out and send it back as soon as possible, so we can start getting some additional last-minute planning done as well. Colorado Campground is just a beautiful place to camp, and hopefully you'll join us either Thursday night, maybe Friday or Saturday night. We would love to have you up there. And one other quick note on camping. Several members last year said, hey, they'd love to camp, but they just don't have any camping equipment. Well, we do have access to some camping equipment this year. It is limited, but if you don't have camping equipment and you would like to camp, please let us know at parkerradio.org, and we will see what we can do to get you enough equipment so you can have a nice rest up there in Colorado Campground. Okay, just a couple notes on safety here. And this is all pretty much common sense, but we're going to go through it anyway. And we'll go through this again on Saturday morning. But first, please don't put sticks in the fire and then pull the stick out of the fire. I was around a person one time that lost an eye due to that. So sticks need to stay either in the fire or out of the fire. Pets are welcome, of course. And for those of you that want to know if Ruby's coming, yes, Ruby will be there. And she loves Field Day almost as much as I do. But you need to keep in mind that pets must be on a leash all the time. This is definitely enforced. And after the camp host says something to you, usually what happens next is that Teller County Sheriff shows up. They're real strict about this. So if you bring a pet, please feel free to do so, but bring whatever you need to keep the pet on a leash, and that would be fantastic. Safety briefing Saturday at 8 a.m. By Tom, NI0L. Thank you again, Tom, for doing that now. I think this is the third year, and we appreciate that very much. Not only do we get points for that, but it'll keep everybody safe, and that's really what we need to do. We want everyone to go home with all their limbs and fingers and everything that they came with. Please do not discharge any firearms in the campsite. You will be arrested. That's number one. But number two, we could hurt somebody. There is a outdoor shooting range of sorts that is fairly close to the campsite across Highway 67. And if you want to bring a firearm to go over there and do some target shooting or something, you're welcome to do that, of course. Just keep the firearm in your vehicle, and we can point you the right direction if you want to go over there. Storage of gasoline and other fuels must be in approved containers, okay? Tom will go through some of that, how we store the gasoline away from the generators and stuff of that nature. Please do not use gasoline to start fires. That's a no-no. If anyone during field day has any concerns about any safety issue, you can speak to the safety officer, Tom, or anyone in camp. Okay, if you have a concern, you can talk to anyone, and we will get Tom involved, and or someone will step up and take care of the situation, look at the situation. And that can be any member. It doesn't have to be a board member. or an officer, and if you have a safety concern, speak up so we can get it corrected immediately. And then lastly, we really ask that there be no smoking in PRA campsites, tobacco products. We've had an issue with that a couple times, and we've just put this in here as something that we don't allow, and we have a couple people that will enforce that rule if you're using those types of if you're using tobacco products in camp. Okay. A little bit more specifics about the Colorado Campground. It is a U.S. Forest Service campground. It's located 5.3 miles north of Woodland Park on State Highway 67. If you're going north, it's on the right-hand side of the road. If you're coming from the north, down 67 from Pine Junction off of 285, then the campground will be on the left, of course. It's basically on the east side of Highway 67. You can turn in there, and we're going to be in the area around campsites 25, 26, 27, and 28, and that is on the main campground loop on the far east side of the campground. So upon entering the campground, you stay far right, and you follow the loop drive as it turns hard left, and you keep going down the road, which will be on the east side of the campground. We'll be in the middle of that row of campsites. So you enter the campground, stay far right, follow the loop drive. You'll make a hard left, and then on the straightaway on the back side of the campground, we'll be about in the middle. Do not stop at the host station. Please do not stop at the host station. If they stop you, that's fine. You can just say, I'm going to campsite 27, and someone else has already paid for it. I'm visiting for the day. Whatever you want to say, but you don't need to stop there. If they do stop you, just say you're camping with some people that have already checked in. There is water available from different faucets around the campground, and there are also pit toilets, which are located throughout the campsite as well. And they're like your typical pit toilets, except that they are cleaned daily by the camp host. So that's nice that they do that every morning. And if they're cleaning the toilet when you need to use that toilet, please just go to another toilet. And they do a really good job keeping those clean daily. Firewood is available for purchase. It's fairly reasonable, or you can bring your own, or if you want to walk a quarter of a mile, you can probably get all the firewood that you want. We hope there will not be a fire ban this year. We don't know that to be a fact. A couple of different people have told me that there will be a fire ban in place for the entire state for the entire summer. I've not read that personally, and I think things are somewhat fluid. So we'll have an answer probably by our next presentation with regard to whether or not fires will be available, or whether you can use whether you can have a fire or not. And if not, you won't need to bring firewood or purchase any, obviously. So it'll free up some space, but certainly hope we can do fires. And then Manitou Lake is just an absolute phenomenal, beautiful lake. We're going to set up on Thursday above the lake in a beautiful area that's wooded and overlooks the lake to do our deployment on Thursday. But if you want to go over there and hike around the lake, great hiking trail, great place to take kids or whoever. And the trout fishing actually is really good there, as Dan can attest, and Dan's daughters can attest. I remember one year they continued to catch fish for quite a while. Fantastic place to catch fish. So certainly
they catch more than me.
They did catch more than you. I wasn't going to say that, but that is exactly the case. So bring your rod if you want to take a break from radio. Head on over and do some trout fishing. You will need a license for that, by the way. And almost every year we've seen someone with park and Wildlife doing license checks. Just a heads up there. Okay. I would say 1 or 2 years we've kind of had a problem with parking, but that kind of was directly related to the camp host. But we do need to follow the parking rules to the letter, absolutely, positively to the letter. And we will have somebody in charge of parking this year like we did last year. And we had no issues last year. Everybody was fantastic and did exactly what we asked them to do. And what the camp host asked everyone to do. So here are the regulations for parking, okay? We cannot park in any of the campsite drives without first talking to Ray, N0KEG, or myself, AC5S, unless you have a campsite reserved. If you have a campsite reserved, then you're gonna have a parking pass for that campsite, and that doesn't apply to you. But if you come up early Saturday and you'd like to park in one of the campgrounds that we have reserved for field day, you need to get with Ray or I, and we will do our best to accommodate you. We can only put 2, sometimes 3 vehicles, and usually 2 per campsite. And so that means that it's a first come, first serve parking situation. And if you get to field day around noon on Saturday, you probably will not be able to park directly at the field day site. Okay, if you come up early, you probably will. And this is because the campsites only have room for 2 vehicles per campsite, and we're not allowed to park on the grass adjoining the campsites. It is absolute no-no. Same way with pulling off the road a little bit. Where you have 2 tires on the dirt and 2 tires on the road, cannot do that. So if you get there early Saturday, we'll probably have a place for you to park at the field day site itself. If not, we do have a overflow parking lot that is across Highway 67. It is a short walk to the campsite location, and quite frankly, several people last year said that's a better place to park anyway, because they can come and go as they want. They don't have to worry about people moving cars around to get them out. And so if you want to come drop your stuff off at the site, feel free to do that. And then if there's a place available for you in one of our 6 sites, we'll get you in there. And if not, we'll need you to go over to the overflow parking. And it says there's a slide that shows that. I don't know whether that slide's in here or not. I don't think it is. And okay, well, it's not a slide, doesn't have a picture, but it does explain this a little bit further. There is an overflow parking lot with a short walk to the field day site. As I mentioned before, feel free to drive to the field day site and drop off your camping equipment and other items. And short walk. No permit is required over there, so you don't have to worry about a permit. And if you arrive after 10 a.m. on Saturday and you do not have a campsite reserved, that's probably where you will need to park. Okay, big news for this year. Big news. We are going to operate 3A. We've always operated 2A, but the Field Day Committee has determined that we can and should operate 3A this year. I think there's some challenges. I think this is subject to change prior to the start of field day, based on number of people that we have that are willing to commit to operating these stations, because it doesn't do us any good from a point standpoint to have a station if it's not on the air. So if we can get enough commitment to keep 3 stations operating, which is usually 20 meters, 40 meters, and then some type of digital station, okay? If we can keep those stations on the air for an extended period of time, then we certainly would like to try 3A this year. And we think that we can. But if we, if due to COVID-19, there's not a large turnout this year, we don't have people that are willing to work, overnight, or if we just don't think we can keep 2 stations busy for the 24 hours, then we probably will step back down to 2A. But the committee would very much like to run 3A. So you can read more about that on the ARRL website. And as Justin mentioned earlier, we do have a 991A and an ICOM 7300 available for use. And if you want to bring your own equipment to use, you're welcome to do that as well. There are, in some cases, some challenges to changing equipment out and keeping the flow going. But we have one club member that said, hey, I'd like to bring my Yaesu 1200 up. Great, bring it up. Some club members have indicated they'd like to run some of their homebrew antennas. We can usually work that in as well, depending upon the type of antenna and how it's installed and where it's going to be installed and things of that nature. And also this year, we are probably going to run two separate stations or two separate tents or canopies. So instead of having both stations, both voice stations in one location, we're probably going to separate those this year, which is a little bit different than we've done in years past, but we believe we can do that a little more effectively. And so that's going to be something to look forward as well. Okay, now I'm not going to talk about N1MM, and we're not even going to discuss it tonight, but Dan N2SRK will be doing the presentation on N1MM next month. And again, I want to encourage you. I think it's a better presentation than this one for a lot of reasons, but I want to encourage you to tune in next month for this particular N1MM logging presentation. And if you want to get a head start on that, don't hesitate to either download it or go to their site or look at the many blogs that are out there on this particular logging software. Get a head start, read up on it, and get ready to do some role playing, because we're definitely going to do some role playing next month. And it might be a little bit of a challenge if we do it virtually, but who knows? Maybe we won't be virtual next month. Maybe we'll be in person in the library and practicing maybe a little social distancing. So anyway, so that's all I have for Field Day this evening. We really look forward to everyone coming out. And I do want to say that we do, a lot of us do like to camp, but you do not have to camp. If you want to come up for the day Saturday, you're welcome to do that. If you want to just come up for dinner, you're welcome to do that. If you wanted to come up just for Sunday, absolutely. But just keep in mind, we're going to be out of there by noon, and there's not quite as much activity Sunday morning. A lot of us are, putting the campground back in order and packing up and stuff like that. But we will keep stations on the air continuously. So if you want to come up any of those times, or you want to come up and camp one night, that's fine too. We would love to have you. And especially we'd love to have you for dinner on Saturday night, because it's just a tradition, and the food's always been really, really good, and it will be this year as well. The only difference is that we're going to serve you, and I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I like being served, so we'll just maybe make that maybe we'll just make that a tradition the next few years where we just serve the food. So anyway,
hey Paul, one question for you.
Yes.
You might have touched on it, but I know there's one thing we found out we can't bring, and I think that drones have to stay at home.
Yeah, thank you, Justin. We learned that somewhat the hard way, or I should say Wayne did, but we are not allowed to operate drones in the campground. I believe we are allowed to operate drones just right outside the campground on the U.S. Forest property, if I remember the regulation correctly, but we cannot operate drones in the campsite. That is correct. And also, I didn't go into this in any detail because Dan's going to do that next month as well. But we're going to have quite a few different notifications that we're going to send out to the media and law enforcement and stuff like that. And Dan is going to cover that next week. There's just a lot of stuff we're going to kind of touch base on next month as well. So if we didn't get all of it this month, we will certainly cover quite a bit more next month as well. Any additional questions?
Somebody on chat and YouTube a long time ago asked what the prop was behind you.
It is an old aircraft propeller. It was actually used on an aircraft. It's a wooden propeller, and it was turned into a light fixture in the house that I lived in when I was a child. And when we moved, I begged my parents to take it with us, and we did. And I've had it ever since. It's no longer a light fixture, but it sits in the corner, and everybody asks about it. It's actually a very beautiful old propeller.
Hey, Paul, one question that came up in the chat room was how many tents can be on each site?
That is a great question, Dan. And the answer to that is there is no limitation that I believe is written down anywhere. And I've had that conversation with the camp hosts before, but we have had as many as 4 to 5 tents per campsite without any issues from the Forest Service. So, which means we technically could probably get away with 25 to 30 tents if we needed to have space for that many tents with the number of sites that we have reserved.
Yeah, when I was just modifying my reservation, which I did to add Thursday night, so woohoo, it let me select a party size of up to 8. So I would imagine that's 8 people, but I imagine it could also be 8 people in tents separately.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to a local decision by the camp host, because I've seen scout troops in there with at least 20 plus tents and 2 sites. So I don't think we'll exceed what is allowed, and I think if we end up having more than 3 or 4 on a site, we have 6 sites, so we can move them around a little bit.
And Paul, one of the other questions that came up, the presentation that you have here, I think we can make available in the chat forum for people who want to review it, maybe prior to part 2 next month.
Absolutely. You have a copy of the draft, Dan, but I'll get you and Jeff both a copy of the final presentation.
Excellent. Nope. Thank you for that. One thing that did come across in the chat room, which is pretty exciting, the head of the Patriot VE team, Nick Meacher, is actually on. And Nick, thanks for joining us. Thanks for signing up and being a new PRA member. We certainly appreciate it. Nick has announced that the Patriot VE team, for those who are generals looking to upgrade to extra, or the Patriot VE team will actually conduct testing at Field Day 2020 at the Colorado Campground. So those that are generals, and Ray, hint, that's a big hint to you, Ray. We want you to upgrade to general, or excuse me, upgrade to extra, and this is your opportunity to do it. So, hey, Nick, thanks for making that offer, and I know there's going to be definitely more than a couple handfuls of Patriot VEs that'll be on site, and boy, what an exciting opportunity of not only getting to play radio, have fun, keep the squelch loose, eat well, camp outside, make a lot of contacts, but then get your extra ticket. So that's pretty cool and exciting news that just came across.
Yeah, that's great news, Dan. I'm sure Ray is especially excited about making use of those books that Patrick and I gave him, say, a year ago.
He's so excited.
Yeah, I'll study one of these days.
Yeah, they're going to age out before too much longer.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the new test. That's what it is.
Yeah, I think there's some Bravo Sierra.
It happens.
Well, I was going to say there was some questions in the chat about activities for XYLs that come down for Field Day, that we could maybe take a look at that. We were thinking maybe a box wine event would be something good. Looking at others, Jeff had brought up about would it be okay to bring your own headset equipment for the radios?
Yes.
Yes. I'm just scrolling through the rest.
Yeah, as Wayne was mentioning, as far as the YL events, folks, this is a family event. Bring your wives, bring your husbands, bring your girlfriends, bring your boyfriends. Just don't bring them all at the same time, because there'll obviously be a collision if that's the case. But we bring the kids, the grandkids, the in-laws. I mean, it's really a great fun camaraderie event, and part of I think the most excitement we've had since we've been doing this over the last 6 years is getting people who are absolutely brand new to amateur radio, getting them on the air, getting them to make contacts, and seeing their face light up when somebody responds to them calling or them answering somebody else. It is just a really, really cool thing that we should all get to experience.
Yeah, and another one of the questions that Nick posted, the extra question pool does change July 1st. So definitely great time to get your extra.
Nick also mentioned that anyone who's interested in being a VE, make sure you reach out to him by email, and he'll get an application emailed back over to you right away. So if you look up Patriot VE on Google, it'll point you right to their website, and you can get in contact with Nick, and we'll be getting things going. Paul, one last question that did come across the forum. Who's going to be in charge of the weather this year? Last year we asked for a nice cool breeze. We had hail and snow, and obviously those things are very sensitive. So wanted to see who has control over the weather this year.
I think we assigned that to Elizabeth.
I will call on the weather gods and make sure that it is beautiful weather.
And sunspots. And
sunspots, just for you guys.
Yeah, and you're not allowed to involve John because he apparently, asked for cool breezes, and look what we got.
Right.
And Jeff AB0L says he's still waiting for his weather refund from last field day. Well, Paul, as always, just a great summary, great presentation. We got a lot of really cool things happening for Field Day this year. So obviously, we're going to be keeping everyone posted as to what's happening right now. Looks like everything is on schedule. We'll be having Field Day 2020. Should be a lot of fun. And obviously, Paul laid out a great detail of some of the social distancing precautions and cleanup and things like that we're going to be doing, not only for, being good guests at the campground, but obviously with everything going on with COVID-19 and wiping down tables and radios and gear and headsets and things like that, all kinds of good stuff happening there. So really, really good presentation, Paul. Really looking forward to next month. That's going to be a lot of fun. I think we're going to invite a bunch more people with the studio access pass, because I know one of the things that we like to try to do is to operate a pile-up. So that could be a lot of fun to do that virtually. And as Paul has mentioned on N1MM logging, download it tonight. If you're in front of the computer, download it. It is the best cost software you can absolutely get your hands on. It's free 99. It'll cost you absolutely nothing. Download it, play around with it, get lost in it, booger it up. There's going to be some really cool things that we show you. And as long as you know how to type in numbers, letters, know where the shift key, the tab key, and the enter key is, you're going to be in really, really good shape on N1MM. So get that downloaded, horse around with it here for a little bit. And then next month, we'll actually have some live presentations of N1MM software and help you get very familiar with it. And when you get to Field Day, once we get the radio set up, that'll also be another thing too. If you're still not comfortable with N1MM, we're going to get you in front of it before Field Day kicks off, let you get used to it. We'll give you some coaching and guidance and make it a very, very memorable event for you. So again, Paul, thanks again. Just a great job, and certainly looking forward to part 2 coming up next month. Before we kind of wrap things up, I'm going to go around the horn one more time with the leadership group. Patrick, AIHC, over to you. Any parting words of wisdom?
No, great meeting as always. John, I don't know if you saw it. He had asked if we had reserved spot 31 at the campground. I don't see anything in our notes for that. We stopped at 30. So if somebody reserved it, it wasn't officially from us. So back to you, Dan.
All right. Very good, Patrick. No, thanks. Thanks for that update. Justin, AE2L, any pearls of wisdom before we wrap up tonight?
I just checked and N1MM works, so I'm good to go for that next month presentation. So good news there. And yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I also booked Thursday night. So thanks for setting up those activities, Paul. Can't wait to get the KX2 out, both with the QRP and the non-QRP amplified version for Field Day. So looking forward to that. And great job, everyone. And back to net.
All right. Thanks, Justin. Much appreciated there. Elizabeth, the chairwoman of the weather committee for Field Day, we'll throw it over to you. Any parting words of wisdom before we wrap up tonight?
I am looking forward to Field Day. I'm ready to get out, and Field Day has helped me get out of my shell. I am excited about doing it. It was great to have all of you with us this evening, and yes, I will make sure that the weather cooperates. Back to you, Dan.
All right. Thanks, Elizabeth. Much appreciated. Wayne, N0AD. Wayne, thanks for all your help and support in the studio control room tonight. We'll throw it over to you for final comments.
Hey, Dan and everybody. Yeah, running solo here, so I'll just keep my audio up. But yeah, I was saying maybe for next month's meeting, we could do a live QSO party and actually get a pilot going and get you running M1NM live on HF. That would be pretty interesting. But yeah, guys, like and subscribe to the video. It helps out with the Google algorithm, and hit the bell so you get notified when we're on the air. And I'll go ahead and pass it back to you, Dan.
All right, sounds real good, Wayne. Well, as more and more comfortable as we're getting with YouTube Live, maybe for those that can't make it to Colorado Campground, maybe we could set up a YouTube Live or Facebook Live from Colorado Campground and the PRA. I think that'd be pretty cool. Ray, N0KEG, we'll throw it over to you. Any pearls of wisdom before we wrap up tonight?
Oh, I don't know about wisdom, but hats off to Paul. Great presentation. One question, if we do run 3A, and maybe we can take this question offline, but if we do run 3A, do you want me to bring the third radio? I got a couple of pretty nice ones to choose from.
That'd be fantastic, Ray. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Ray. That's a great offer for sure, and that will certainly go a long way. Tom, you're still with us. We'll throw it over to you. Any final comments you have tonight?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, yes, appreciate all the information about Field Day. Looking forward to it. I know there's been some difficulties getting there with the whole COVID thing, but I think we got a good plan. And so watch for the sign up in the next couple of days in your email. Back to you, Dan.
All right. Thanks, Tom. Much appreciated. Thanks for all the help and support you're giving into all of that. So good stuff there, kind of watching the chat room as well. So boy, what a great turnout we had tonight. Very, very live chat room, which has been great, and appreciate everybody using that. And we're going to wrap it up here tonight. So again, I want to thank Paul, AC5S, for his presentation in part one. So Paul, you're on the hook for next month as well. And really looking forward to helping out with that in N1MM software and Field Day logging. That'll be fun. I really enjoy helping out with that. So again, thanks for joining us tonight. And for any more information on the Parker Radio Association, be sure to check out our website at www.parkerradio.org, and also look us up on Facebook and Twitter. And if you haven't done so on YouTube, make sure you like us and subscribe to us, because we need likes and views and subscribers. So that's about it from this end. This is Dan, N2SRK, saying 73 with the rest of the chimpanzees on the air or on the screen. And we look forward to seeing you either on YouTube Live in the month of June for part 2 of Field Day 2020. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you next time.
73.
73.
73.